students, welcome back to our social science classroom. First we want to recall what we learned in last class. We learned Hagia Sophia. Hagia Sophia was the one of the important historical monument in the world. It built in 6th century AD. Then now it preserved as a museum in Turkey. Then Constantinople. What are the features of Constantinople? We learned there are 3 features: a center of knowledge, commercial gateway from Asia to Europe, and abode of scholars and a treasure trove scholarly text. And we learn how to locate the Constantinople in the world map. Constantinople is a place which is located in between Asian continent and the European continent. Then in 1453, the Constantinople was conquered by Turks. When the Turks conquered Constantinople, the majority of the scholars, writers and artists were migrated to Italy. Why did they migrate to Italy? And what is the new name of Constantinople? This already we learned, and we are moving to today's topic, Renaissance. You learned the medieval periods of India in 6th standard. Do you remember it? Yes, it is. The medieval period in India lasted from 8th century to 18th century. According to the history of Europe, the medieval period lasted from 5th century to 15th century. By the end of 13th century, the Renaissance, which began in Italy, and also it spread to other nations. That means the birthplace of Renaissance was Italy. The new term Renaissance we are going to learn. Renaissance. What do you mean by Renaissance? The word Renaissance, which means rebirth or revival. Rebirth or revival. The new awakening in all spheres of human life in Europe was known as the Renaissance. Okay, in the medieval period, the arts, literature and history were based on the religious ideology. The texts were written in Greek and Latin languages. The Greek and Latin languages were known as the scholarly languages. That means the languages Latin and Greek were only understood by the scholars and not useful for the common people. By the dawn of the 13th century, the regional languages like French, English and Spanish were emerged, and the scholarly languages lost their importance. The writers used the regional languages to communicate their ideas, and they adopted the life of common man as a central theme of their works. At this period, the artists, scholars and writers were depicted the various aspects of human life. Then we are going to learn a new term, humanism. What is humanism? Humanism, that is the vision primarily concerned with the various aspects of human life. Humanism is the vision primarily concerned with the various aspects of human life. Then, the simple meaning of humanism is it deals with the human life, various aspects of human life. The humanism promoted the spirit of inquiry and rational thinking. Then we learned Renaissance. What is Renaissance? Renaissance means a new awakening in all spheres of human life is known as Renaissance. The humanism is the heart and soul of Renaissance. What are the features of Renaissance? First one, humanism. Second one, reasoning thinking. Third one, the spirit of inquiry. And fourth one, the emergence of regional languages. Now, let's examine how the Renaissance influenced various spheres of human life. The Renaissance influenced in the field of literature, arts and science. In literature, we are going to learn 5 writers and their prominent 5 works. Renaissance in literature. First one, Petrarch. Petrarch is known as the father of Renaissance, and his life period was 1304 to 1374. Petrarch was one of the major writers of Renaissance period. Petrarch is known as the father of Renaissance and also the father of humanism. The popular work or the magnum opus of Petrarch is Secretum. His works deals with the human feelings and aspirations. In the earlier period, we know all works is based on religion. In Petrarch's works, he deals with the human feelings and aspirations. The main work of Petrarch is Secretum. Next writer, Dante. The great Italian poet Dante used Italian, the language of common people, instead of Latin, the language of scholars, for expressing his thoughts. His famous work is Divine Comedy. It dealt with the human life and love of country and desire for free, united Italian nation. He was rightly hailed as the morning star of Renaissance in literature. The third prominent writer, Boccaccio. Boccaccio was attracted by Petrarch. The Decameron was the major work of Boccaccio. It dealt with the immoral life led by the feudal lords. Next writer, Cervantes. The Spanish poet Cervantes wrote the Don Quixote, which depicts the hallucinations of the war-crazy medieval feudal knights. Erasmus was known as the scholar of Europe. His famous work In Praise of Folly, written in Dutch. Renaissance in arts. Next, we are going to learn how Renaissance influenced in the field of arts. In arts, for easy learning, we are dividing the arts field into 3. First one, painters, architecture and sculptures. In painters, we all know that Leonardo da Vinci, one of the famous painter in the Renaissance period. Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo and Raphael. These are the prominent painters in this period. The famous work of Leonardo da Vinci is The Last Supper and Mona Lisa. Next, painter Michelangelo. Michelangelo painted the Last Judgment. And last painter Raphael. Raphael painted, his famous work is School of Athens. The School of Athens was his famous work. Is first one, the painter. Next, the second division of arts is first one, the painter. Second, architecture. In architecture, in this chapter, we are going to learn about the Lorenzo Ghiberti, and his prominent work in architecture is the Door of Florence Baptistry. Next, sculpture. Donatello was the architecture, and his prominent work is Gattamelata in the field of sculpture. We learned Renaissance in the field of literature and Renaissance in the field of arts. Next, we are going to learn the Renaissance in the field of science. How the Renaissance influenced in the field of science. First, we all know that the solar system. Sun is the center of planetary system. But in the ancient period, the people believed that Earth is the center of universe and Sun rotates Earth. Okay. In the Renaissance period, the Copernicus invented the theory of solar system or Copernicus theory. It means the ancient people believed that the Earth was a center of the universe. In the Renaissance period, the belief was went wrong. Nicolaus Copernicus was a Renaissance mathematician and astronomer who formulated the Copernicus theory or the theory of solar system or heliocentric theory. Copernicus announced that the sun is the center of planetary system and the earth revolves around the sun. Next, scientist Galileo Galilei. Galileo Galilei was an astronomer and he invented the telescope by using a scientifically proved that the theory put forward by the Copernicus was true. In the Renaissance period, in the field of science, next person, Johannes Gutenberg. Johannes Gutenberg was a German and he invented the printing press in 1439. Let's conclude our class. Today we learn the new term Renaissance and humanism. Next, what are the features of Renaissance? How Renaissance influenced in the field of science, literature and arts. The prominent writers in literature and their works we already learned. Then in the field of arts we learned some paintings, then sculpture and architecture. Next we learned in the field of science how the Renaissance influenced in the field of science. We learned about the scientist Copernicus, his theory. Then Galileo Galilei, he invented telescope. Next, Johannes Gutenberg, he invented the printing press. I hope you all understood my class. Okay.